Hello everyone, I'm Leo Fitch, and this is my opinion. I wanted you to check out this clip of AOC and what this radical leftist has to say about defunding the police. Let's take a look.
I don't have, I don't have a police detail because I don't want that outside of my apartment door every day. That doesn't make me feel safe. That doesn't make me feel secure. Of course there are instances when we have our town halls, etc., but I don't want to live my life that way. People ask me, what does a world where we defund the police, where, defunding police looks like? I tell them it looks like a suburb. Politically, the most important thing that the world revolves around is school funding. People will uproot their entire lives. You will see people go nuts for school funding. A lot of wealthy areas, their PTAs add millions of dollars to school operating budgets. So these kids aren't subject to a school to prison pipeline. When teenagers go into high school in Westchester County, they don't get patted down. They don't have to go through metal detectors. And they have school counselors. There'll be 5, 6 school counselors. So of course this doesn't happen in suburbs. I would say this isn't reflective of the community.
Can you believe
it's reflective
how
of
disconnected she is from the rest of the world? Or at least from my opinion, from me? Talking about she doesn't have a police detail? She doesn't need one. If you know anything about Southeast San Diego or some of the places in LA, I'll tell you what, she doesn't have a police detail, but she's not walking around East San Diego at night, right? And can you take a look at this? She talked about everything being a suburb. Well, look around. Do we all live in the suburb? I mean, is that her idea of what everything looks like just because that's where she grew up? Where I grew up, we counted on the police for when disturbances took place and you needed help. Who'd you call? 911. And I love her ideas about wealthy areas having PTAs and other sponsors. You know what? Even in poor neighborhoods, we have PTA communities. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be better. It's not that you can police yourself. She has this odd idea that everything is like rainbows and unicorns, and she thinks that we're going to police ourselves. Well, tell that to the bad guys. Tell that to the criminals. Tell that to the crackheads. Tell that to the child molesters and the pedophiliacs and all the other ones, that they are not following the same laws that we follow. Her better world is not reflected of her policies. A better life and a better community falls under better family. No cops? What were you thinking? I can imagine being a politician, sitting back, going, let me think about what I'm going to do today. Hey, let's save some money and defund the police. What? Let some common sense kick in, because that's not what should happen. No cops? What are you thinking? And you know what? You might as well, if you're going to get rid of the cops, get rid of the court systems. Because you're not going to have any police officers to make any arrests. No arrests, they're not going to be needing a court. You know what? At that, let's just abolish all the jails and prisons. Because if we have no cops and they're making no arrests and they're not being sent to the court, then they're not going to be sentenced to jail time or imprisonment. So we can get rid of the prisons. And with that, do you think the inmates are going to run a prison, nicely? It's up to the police, the sheriffs, the deputies to work in these facilities to keep things under control. So let's just get rid of the prisons. You know what? Let's get rid of the DMV as well. There's no reason for it to have a DMV because I don't need a license. I don't need proof of insurance. I don't even need registration because there's not going to be any police to pull me over. So I don't need any of that. You think about how much money that's going to cost? You get no revenue from these outlines. So with that, the roads don't get fixed. All right? Your city is going to lose a lot of funding. I don't think she thought this out very well. And AOC, think about crime. If with just talking about defunding the police has caused your district to spike in crime, think about what's going to happen when it's only people policing each other. The crime rate is going to go through the roof. And who is this going to affect? Primarily women and children. They're the weakest ones, the most vulnerable in our society. We're there to look out for them and to assist them. Do you think criminals are going to take care of them? They're going to prey on them. And when we talk about no guns because we have no police and you want to get rid of our Second Amendment and take our guns, well, thank goodness that the criminals think the same way and they're going to nicely give up their arsenal as well. No, they're going to get more weapons in many different ways. People just don't police themselves. People become more vulnerable when we're lawless. And if you want to take a look at what a lawless place looks like, take a look at Slab City. I'm going to put a link to that. Good documentary on that. But it's lawless. I'll give you a clip of it right now.
We have to wait until they're done talking. Who the hell is that? Who is that? Brian Worthy?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
Huh?
You walk up into my neighborhood? Are you coming to the range? Are you coming to the range?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You better. Fucker.